Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Lewis.
Welcome to the Rangers Journal.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Thursday night's edition of the Rangers Journal, where we'll do a bit of Q&A tonight. We'll also do a wee bit of review of last night's game, and we'll maybe just a wee bit of touching on the Sunday game. Not that's a big game coming up or anything, but 2 wins on the bounce. Gentlemen, it's not a bad start for Danny Role in terms of domestic football at all. So I think we're safe to say that we're on the way to something here by the looks of it. So joining me tonight just to obviously go over last night's game and tonight's pod, I've got Richard. Richard, it's been a while. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's been a wee while being off, but had a hard week at work. Got a long weekend, thankfully. So, but hopefully they enjoy the games so far, and hopefully I'll enjoy the games this weekend as well, mate. So I'm good. How about yourself?
Can't complain, like you say. It's been a long week, and it's nearly at an end. Nearly at the end. We got a good weekend ahead. Dino, mate, how's you?
I'm doing good, thanks, mate. It's good. Looking forward to watching Rangers again, isn't it?
It's good watching Rangers again and having a buzz about watching Rangers. That's one thing I said in the chat yesterday. Even at sort of 4 o'clock when you're still on work and things were starting to build in the group chat. Even our group chat was buzzing as well. There was just a different feel to it, and it was almost strange because it's been a while since we've all kind of had that, and it only was one game, but there was definitely a sort of feel good factor about there, and then obviously the game went how it went as well. So obviously we'll dive into that. Just then, Richard, did you catch the game at all? Did you get to watch it?
I did, mate. Yeah, and it was good. And I understand what you're saying about the feel-good factor, and I think it's more. There's hope we actually might get not just a result but a performance. I think that's genuinely what it is now. We completely lost all hope before with Russell Martin, and that's literally what it is. Not just a feel-good factor. It is genuinely we actually think that. No, I mean we're not thinking we're going to romp people, but we actually think, actually we might have a chance now. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, no, you're spot on. It's definitely brought certainly, obviously, I said yesterday before the game, there was a different sort of mood to it after coming off the back of the Kilmarnock victory at Ibrox, because that was something we desperately needed, was to shift that hoodoo from May last year, or not May this year, but May last season was the last time we'd won at Ibrox. So to get that struck off, and then obviously with something to build on. And Dino, obviously we did that last night. What did you think of the game?
I was kind of as I was saying to, but it's one of those performances that we're of an age where we've seen Rangers teams of years gone by like grind results out like that. Do you know, it was one of those just keep going. Every player on the pitch giving their all, and coming away with a win. But given the fact it was on the back of as equally important away victory the weekend. But one thing I'm actually asking the group chat, and I completely got dinged, and it's not a dig at anybody, and if Doug is watching or anybody in the comments, when was the last time that we won 2 games back to back? Like, because it seems that long ago. I can't recall when it was the last time that we actually won two domestic games back to back. So that was really really good to see, and yeah, a definite good wee boost going into the weekend's fixture, that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. It was needed. I think if we got a result last night, then it would put you in good stead going into obviously Sunday's game. Regardless of what happened across, on the north side of Glasgow last night, I just think we just need to focus on ourselves, and we certainly did that. And sort of you've seen that, I think, especially in the first half performance last night. We just looked as Jediah and the team says, we played as a team, played as a unit. We hunted in packs last night straight off the bat, and obviously that helped us get the first goal. with the pressing, and there was just a different energy about the team last night, and it was just good to see. And obviously, you go to Hibs and you get an early goal like that, it's only going to set you in good stead, because you're going to expect to come under some sort of pressure at some point, because they're not a bad outfit, and they've been playing all right and domestically anyway. I know that obviously we turned them over at Ibrox, but they didn't really turn up that day, I don't think. I think that was one of our only really decent performances under Russell Martin, and that was, I'd say, probably Raskin's best game this season. That's obviously not been in a Belgian shirt. As Doug's pointed out to you, Dino, there, the last time was Aberdeen and Dundee United at the end of last season, before we drew the last game with Hibs. So that would have been, was that, am I right saying this? That was Hadji's last minute winner, wasn't it? Just outside the box. That got that one for us. So diving into the game then, the first thing obviously I noticed personally, was the energy and was the press, because it wasn't, the winning the ball back high up deep in their half, out wide, and then we sort of play it into the middle for the goal for Danilo. Richard was something that we'd obviously seen straight off the bat, and it was something that I haven't seen the team, particularly this season, do that and do it as organised as it was. It shocked me, but obviously it was good to see.
It shocked you they were doing well? Is that what?
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean, and the exact same thing is what you're saying. We're talking about the high press and energy levels, but for me, it was desire, genuinely desire to hunt the ball, win the ball back, and win the game. It wasn't perfect by any means, but the first 15 minutes especially, you could see the players were hungry. They pressed higher. They wanted it. It was like a willingness, to fight for it, which definitely was pleasing. Do you know what I mean? But equally baffling how the same players were not doing that before. Do you know what I mean? It's strange, but that I feel was a key characteristic. Like the Hibs performance was by no way perfect by any means. In some ways, we were quite lucky, especially we needed that second goal, which I know we'll come on to later. But the key thing that willed the fans on and didn't get them on their back was you could see that every single player was hunting, was trying, and had, the same word again, had that desire to hunt the ball down and try and get it back. So that was massive. And the early goal, it sort of calmed the nerves immediately. Do you know what I mean? We were on top. I know it was only 5 minutes in, but we were the ones that were going for the game more. A little bit unexpected. Good finish, to be fair, from Danilo. Good little cut back, perhaps from Chermiti. But yeah, just set the tone, calmed the nerves a little bit. But again, yeah, the key point for me, especially in the first half, especially straight away at the start of the game, was you could see that the players were up for it and they wanted it, which was total opposite a few games ago.
Yeah, as Richard says here, it's such a drastic change from obviously the away performance in Norway to then go to Kilmarnock at home, and then what we've seen last night, a difficult away tie. Just night and day, wasn't it? There's just different energy levels, different attitude, different application, just across the whole team, across the whole pitch. And then you've seen that obviously, and especially in the first 45 minutes. Also, we get the goal, but we're going to touch on Migoma here. I noticed he nutmegged the guy that he was on his side twice in the space of 20 minutes, and they took him off because he was getting absolutely tortured.
Aye, and very wise substitution by him, because he'd been booked as well, and I think it's just one of them where he's potentially going to be sent off before half time. So, but that's the kind of stuff I want to see, us forcing teams into making those necessary changes for their own team's well-being. And it's been a minute since we've been that, I guess that good in terms of, I'm not meaning like we're brilliant or anything, but just we've been at that level where we're making teams make changes and things like that. It's more teams have been dominating us for far too long, and it's good to see that sort of shift in momentum and stuff. But what I will say is on Migoma, he looked. That was probably arguably his best performance for us this season.
Yeah.
And I think having less defensive responsibilities and giving a wee bit more freedom to attack was probably a lot to do with his brilliant performance last night, albeit it was only for 45 minutes. But and those 45 minutes as well, I think we could all take back and just appreciate how good he is actually at crossing the ball. He's probably our best crosser we've got in terms of getting to the byline and getting across it, and that's what we want to see as Rangers fans, and that's what we've, I guess, been used to in years gone by. So good to see that, and I guess good to see him coming off at 45 minutes because I want him to be playing on Sunday.
Well, that's it. Obviously, we'll touch on Sunday later on, and there's some in the comments asking about who would obviously pick to go up front later on. Well, I'll put that towards you at the end of the pod. I know we're maybe a bit too overzealous because it's our second victory in the bounce. I know we should be looking for more, but it's the second step really in terms of Danny Rowe's managerial time with us, isn't it? The European tie, you put that to a side. That was just I don't think we were ever going to get something out of them in the first game. And he's only in the door. It's going to take a week or so of being with him and understanding how he works and him trying to figure out what he needs to sort of change and what he needs to do to get through to them. Richard, then obviously the second half was, I'd say the quality of the game sort of got dragged down a bit because we sort of sat back a wee bit, and then the chances weren't being created as much as what we were creating in the first half, and we kind of were soaking up pressure. And then I think we got leggy sort of towards the last sort of maybe 15, 20 minutes, and obviously that heightened the pressure even more. And then obviously we give away the daft penalty, which Connor Barron obviously has a lot of thank yous to give to Jack Butland.
Sorry, mate, I was waiting for the question overall. No, but for the game, yeah, you're right. But I got to admit, I was kind of, I don't know, just going back though, if you don't mind me doing so, I was quite surprised by the subs at half time, to be honest. I'm not surprised in the fact of who was subbed and who came on and things like that. I completely get it. I just found it really, it's very rare for a manager to do it at half time, but he clearly is testing every single player and seeing what he can get from him.
Yeah.
Which, just adding to the conversation, I was really pleased to see, because I don't think overall the substitutions was everybody expected it at half time. So I was really pleased with that, just from overall looking at what Danny Rowe's doing, what he's trying to implement. Didn't really change it too much tactically, I don't think. But I was pleased to see that he was sort of bringing some of the players off and swapping them about, looking to see, what his best team were. And one of the comments, going back to what Dino was saying, particularly about Magoma, like he absolutely had, I can't remember the boy's name, thingy on toast. He megged him twice, got him booked. And he was subbed off. But after that, Magoma was pretty quiet, I thought. He was clearly brought on, so to just keep him quiet. And he didn't really have the same spark and stuff like that. And I don't know if that was partially the team as well, as what you're saying. We got quite quiet after the goal. It settled down the nerves, and we just started to sort of pass the ball around, keep possession a little bit more, which, although it's frustrating, but it's game management at the end of the day. But it was good to see, going back into the everything about what we're trying to do. You could see that the players were, looking for it. You could see the players were hungry. We calmed down a little bit when we got the goal, but I was equally pleased to see that Rowe was looking at every single squad member individually and seeing what he can bring to the party, especially with Sunday coming up. What do you think about that? That's what I thought he was trying. That's what I thought he was trying to do, especially with the subs.
Well, that's it. 'Cause it's like, obviously he changed it up then. He changed it up during the Kilmarnock game as well, the formation, and you can see there's a fluidity with the change in formation in the team, because he was switching it mid-game and the team was adapting to the shape, and it was working in our favour. But we weren't sure if he's going to stick with that for the Hibs game. But he did, because that's how they play. They play with three at the back as well. So he kind of went man for man. So that's why Magoma, I think, early on just had your man on post, because he had him for pace, and he was able just to knock the ball by him or knock the ball through his legs. Also, they switched that up because the guy they brought on to put on Magoma had pace, and he was able to match Magoma. And I think that's how Magoma. It's the same guy that came on that got Magoma booked. Going back through the game, I know there's a lot of arguments going on in the comments here about the penalty. I think for me it is a penalty, because unfortunately Tav does slip. It's not his fault. It's a slip. It happens to anybody. It happens to everybody. And I think actually Tavernier kind of recovers okay. I don't think Barr needs to make the challenge, but he's tired. It's late on the game. He's stuck a foot in. He's come up against Junior Hoylett.
Yeah.
He's played Premier League football, played at a top level, knows what he's doing. He's obviously going to be like, oh, there's a leg. I'm just going to run into that, or I'm going to make sure that hits me. Gives the referee no option. If even if the ref doesn't get the VAR, might give it, because obviously we go to review. So I think he knows what he's doing. I think he's cute. Dino, I don't know if you heard that. Did you think it was a penalty? Did you agree with the penalty, or did you think?
No complaints. No complaints. I think it's just somebody made a comment last night regarding Tav and some of the things that comes out. If 10 years ago Tav's not making that, he's not losing his feet. Do you know what I mean? He's just not as agile and quick as what he once was. So that's maybe going to tend to happen from time to time when he's defending and stuff. So and Conor Barron, just in that type of situation, was lucky though, to be fair, because he was booked and he never got a booking for that, because I think he had one foul after his booking, so he quite easily could have gotten a second yellow for persistent fouling. But one thing I actually wanted to say in terms of, I know I'm going back, but on last night with Magoma and Cornelius, they'd both been booked and before half time, and I felt the way that was it Magoma or Cornelius got booked, the way that Bowie went down, I just felt that Hibs were going to maybe try and utilise this sort of bookings to their advantage. So I'd put in the group chat at half time, do we have the capabilities to bring them off? And we did. We brought Magoma off, but I do feel that was maybe one of the reasons as to why Magoma did come off at half time, was because I just felt that the way that the momentum was going, and after that Bowie going down, like cheating like that, I genuinely thought that they would be doing everything within their powers to get one of them another booking, which would have potentially been detrimental to our 3 points.
We hung on, though. That's the thing. I don't think we would have hung on, obviously, under Russell Martin. I don't think I think the heads would have went down, long before that, because of obviously the pressure that were coming on. But they stood firm, and as I say, it was a team performance last night, and it was gritty and it was ugly, but it needed to be. And sometimes you need to go to places like that and just grind those kind of things out. And Richard, something I say we haven't seen from this team, I'd say as well into last season anyway.
No, without a doubt, mate. We genuinely would have crumbled. I don't even think we probably would have took the lead a few weeks ago, to be honest, because we weren't oppressed. We would have passed it around the back, messed about with it, rather than get a shot on goal for a start. I mean, having a shot near the edge of the 18-yard box, that would never have happened under Russell Martin. But it was good to see, to be honest, great to see. And I don't want to harp back onto it, but it's just genuinely galvanised the fans. And one of the things that amazed me, right, and going off topic completely slightly, but a question that I probably ask is, why is it, right, that Danny Rose came in without having a magnificent sort of career, only really managed one club, done well as a coach, but we've been stung with that with Beale before, so we can take that with a pinch of salt. and the fans were singing his name for pretty much the entire game. You know, is it simply because, and I was thinking this myself, is it because Russell Martin was so bad, right? And he's doing the things that sort of like, you know, saying the right things, going up to the fans, wearing the suit, all the things that we want to see as a fan base, that we've immediately took a liking to him? Or was it really because Russell Martin was that bad that, you know, anybody else come in would be better? Do you know what I mean? But don't get me wrong, I'm on the Danny Rowe bandwagon, to be honest. I'm firmly on it. I wasn't when he was mooted, but I am now. And genuinely, it's great to see, because right now, I'm enjoying the way we're playing so far. Don't get me wrong, it's early days. But I like, you know, half the time it's all about effort and desire. If you see the players doing that, you'll get behind the team. And it's those simple little things that I think are just getting the fans on side again, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's basic stuff. Some people aren't convinced. You know, for me, I'm not all about a playing style and stuff like that. I just want points on the board. I want us to be challenging, and whether that's, you know, by a substandard style of football, but it means we're at the right end of the table, and we're able to, you know, take teams to games or take a challenge on like Hibs away, and try and stifle them, but also try and nick something. And I know our team like Rangers shouldn't be nicking something, but you've got to understand of where we're at 3 weeks ago to where we're at now. So one step, two step, we're on the third step now. It's just a matter of building momentum, and I think under Roll, I think he can see what we need to do to keep the momentum going, and whether that means tinkering the team to suit each game. Whereas Russell Martin had one idea: we're playing this way, and we're doing this, we're doing that, and we're going backwards, and we're keeping the ball. And if we can't cross the ball or put the ball in a decent spot, we'll just go back again and we'll start again. That just didn't work. Clearly, it didn't work, and the players didn't like it. The players didn't respond to it. The fans didn't respond to it. But if you can take chances and create chances the way that we're doing, and the way he's slowly building it into the team, because we're doing that, we're mixing it up and we're doing different varieties of play. Do you know, that's only going to get the fans on side, and it's only going to get points on the board, and that's all at the moment we're asking for, because that's all realistically he can do, because he can't do any worse than what Russell Martin has served us up, really, can he?
No, as we've all discussed when he first came in, he's came into an impossible job. Really is. It's like one of those saves that you would do in Football Manager. Do you know, like taking over when a team's like really crap, and then to see if you can turn it around. And given the fact that he's weeks and weeks away from a transfer window and things like that as well, so you've got to give him credit for having the guts to take the job in the first place. But what we're just, you know, what you were just discussing there about the basics and the suit and speaking to fans, it's just something that we've become, I guess, accustomed to and we've taken for granted. And then you have somebody that come in that takes all of that away from you, and just somebody that just, you know, like I don't think that we'll ever have a worse manager than him in every aspect. And you've got somebody that's come in and who's coming in to a team and players who have had all confidence absolutely knocked out of them, have got zero belief. You know, they're like forgotten how to win. You know, so he's basically came in and said that he's just going to take it game by game and mould the team into the way that he wants them to play for who we're playing and for what players he has available. Like, you know, we went kind of like a 3-4-3 last night.
Yep.
Is that going to be his preferred formation? Like, if he's still in the job in this time in a year's time and he's had a couple of transfer windows, do you know what I mean? So, like, you've got to think about it. He's got players that he's got to use between now and January, and I mean, going with a back three, that's the most secure we've looked defensively for how long? Do you know what I mean? So things like that, and I mean, John Stewart had a decent game, probably one of his better games that he's had for a wee while, I think, because I don't think he's been particularly good for a long while, if that makes sense. But he just looked a bit more. He just looked a bit more confident, a bit more secure, having somebody either side of him last night. So credit to Danny Rule for going with it. And when the formation came out, there was a lot of people that were doubting his formation and his team selection and stuff, and going away to Hibs is notoriously a difficult fixture for us. So massive credit to him for doing that, and that's going to give the players belief in the manager. And us fans, wearing the suit, speaking to the fans, saying the right things, he knows that he needs to build credit in the bank with the fans, because the fans have got trust issues and whatnot. So massive kudos to him for making these small adjustments, because that'll go a long way in his favour.
Well, that's it. He's clearly an adaptive manager during the game, which is good to see. When things aren't working, or if he has a plan at the start of the game, he'll try that, and if it doesn't work, he'll clearly change things by making substitutions or by shifting the formation. And he talked about that in the pre-presser for yesterday, about how if he can get, players can play maybe one or two positions, helps him and it helps the team. And at the end of the day, this is what it is. It's a squad. It's a team that needs to all chip in and do certain bits, and some might not like it, but it's for the benefit of the team. It's not for the benefit of them. It's for the benefit of the team, and it's for the benefit of getting points on the board. Richard, Paul has asked a question here. What's Finlay Curtis got to do to get minutes? Because obviously he started the season off, he was our brightest, between him and Gassama at the start of the season, they were the two that were sort of bright hopes that we were clinging on to try and drag us through games whenever we weren't able to do it.
It's a great question, mate. I wish I had the answer, to be honest. It's something that, well, you guys all know, it's something that I've been looking into, is about the youth within Rangers in particular, and why we just don't seem to bring them through very well, or at all, to be honest. And Finlay Curtis is one of the best shining lights that we've had for a number of years, to be honest. I think he's done a lot better than when Ross McCausland, first came in. People were shouting about him, how good he was and stuff like that, and that bubble sort of burst. But I don't think Finlay Curtis has had a better impact than what he did. Yeah. What he's done as a youth player, the amount of goals that he's scored and stuff like that, he's clearly got talent. And I don't know, to be honest. I think it's too early to judge Roll on whether or not he's going to play him, or whether or not he's going to bring along the youth. I think that's probably going to take quite a while, because let's face it, he's going to prioritise wins over bleeding youngsters, and whether or not that's a good idea at the minute is something completely different argument altogether. But what he's got to do to get a game, I don't know. Moore done quite well, to be fair.
Yeah.
So whether or not he's doing more in training, that's the only thing that I know people are going to say it's going to be something in his contract, the agreement that we've got with him coming on loan. Don't know about that, to be honest. It's a possibility, but I'd be surprised. So there has to be something more to it. But I'm kind of hopeful, because, as I said before, we've seen Roll sort of give other players a chance, bringing them on. Probably won't do it on Sunday, but after that, I think Finlay Curtis probably will get his chance. And I'm hoping he takes it, to be honest. But what he's got to do, I don't know. But you could argue the same. He's the brightest light we've got from our youth academy, or the youngest player. Bailey Rice, another one. What's he got to do? He hasn't even been given a chance. He's always on the bench, never been brought on.
Yeah.
There's got to be more to it. Wish I had the answers, to be honest.
I do feel for Finlay Curtis, obviously, because let's say he hit the ground running at the start of the season, and he dug us out a hole, and great goal against Panathinaikos. Got the draw against St Mirren, but I feel like obviously Danny Roll's in a position where he's inherited this position that the team are in and the squad are in, and obviously he's got to try and lift us up the table. So, like you say, he's going to prioritise probably senior players for points. do you know the question there is who does Curtis get minutes instead of? Now, obviously, he plays that left hand side. Mikey Moore's been out there. But Moore's obviously seems to be more effective now going through the middle because his best two performances have been through there. So you're looking then probably at Gassama on that left hand side getting dropped. Do you drop Gassama?
I bang on about Curtis and in terms of getting minutes and Rice. So we've got to look at the way that they're at crucial stages of their careers, and we've went and made this, agreement to loan players to the, different leagues. If they're not going to be getting minutes, they need to be looking to go to the championship in January, as far as I'm concerned. But currently, as you just alluded to, Mikey Moore, it would be obtuse to move him from being central to playing back out wide. I would strongly suggest that position would be probably him and Asgard going forward. I think that's probably going to be the sort of position I would like to see either of them playing. And in terms of being wide, you've got Gassama. Now, Gassama's kind of not showing the form that he was to begin with. So I wouldn't be against dropping him and giving him sort of like, you do need to start playing better and playing Curtis. Now, Ant-Man's out at the moment. We don't know what's wrong with him. Apparently it's a cold, but hopefully it's nothing too serious and he is back. But Gassama at this moment in time would be the player that I would switch with. But again, Ant-Man has kind of not shown much recently as well. So he can play either wing, Curtis. So it'd probably be between those two. And I guess for freshness and things like that as well, I think Bill's got to start giving Curtis more minutes, because you don't want to be running the current players into the ground, especially if we've not got sort of, many other options there. And I can't see that the wings is a position that they're going to be trying to improve in January. There's other positions in the pitch that are going to be needing improved on, and I don't think the wings is one of them.
Well, that's it. Comment here saying if we're sticking with a 4-3-3 or 3-5-2, then we're not playing with a player like Curtis. Even Gassama doesn't really fit into it. Well, Gassama played that role for him at Sheffield Wednesday, so, and I think that's where he got quite a lot of his goals from. I think Alexis chatting to me here. So that might work. You never know. So, my phone's ringing in New York here. Alexa, off. I've totally lost where I'm at.
You phoning Kavanagh up, telling him to join in?
Well, here, I thought you were giving him a spot and see what he says, eh? So what was I talking about? Gassama playing wing back. Aye, so that position's not it's not strange to him. So it might work. It might work. Just going back to the last night before we finish up in the game. Butland saved obviously the penalty that we gave away as we came to. Conor Barron thanked him in the presser afterwards, saying he's obviously saved them a bit of embarrassment. And that's Butland's 6th penalty save out of 7. Richard, that's not bad going.
No bad at all. Honestly, he's catching up with my record for Linwood Rangers in about 2002, maybe, something like that, to be honest. No, but people were saying before about should he have got man in the match or should it have been Barron before the penalty incident. And as much as Butland didn't really do a lot, but everything he was called on to do, he'd done it. Done it well. And, goalkeepers aren't supposed to save penalties. Famous quote from Pelé, by the way, in case anybody's asking. But penalties are not there to be saved, and he done it. And he saved us gained us 2 points, and saved Barron's blushes. So I think he deserved the man in the match just for that. On his own, done everything he was supposed to do, got his the 3 points, and I'm quietly pleased because like Butland has been questioned, ever completely rightly so from last season, and this season I think that he's played well, but still had those sort of like squeaky bum time moments, hasn't he? Especially when the ball's at his feet. But the last couple of games, he's looked a lot. Well, all right, apart from the goal, right? But otherwise, he's looked a bit more assured, especially against Hibs. So I'm hoping that's going to be more of a confidence builder, and we're going to start to see, the Butland that we saw in the, especially the first half of his first season. Because if we get that back, having that in defence can at the back can hopefully build the confidence in our back four, which is, as you'll see in the comments, still a bit leaky. And I think a lot of it, they're all good players, are in a side, in my opinion. Right, they're all good players. I think there's a lot of them lacking confidence, and winning games, playing the way that they did, getting a little bit of luck on their side will hopefully build that.
Well, that's it. That's it. I say it's one game at a time at this point, and just until Enroll gets his feet under the table. Folks, just in the comments here, just please remember, if you're not already subscribed to us on YouTube, please head over there and do so. We're just trying to get our numbers up there. I think Scotty posted we're about 26 away from 4,600. So that'd be great if you could head over there. Dino, I don't suppose you seen Danilo's dad last night by any chance? Did you see him? Man's an absolute riot, isn't he?
Oh, he's absolutely bursting with energy. That man, Philly Beans, wasn't he? He could have kept going another 90 minutes. But it was good to see him enjoying himself on a cold night in Edinburgh, and Danilo scoring arguably his best goal for us since he signed. And given the sort of history of Danilo at the club, injuries and things like that, people writing him off and, not really doing well to, I guess, claw back out of his £6 million fee. But last night's definitely a good sort of, add-on to Sunday's goal. So hopefully we can keep that going for him, and he does start on Sunday, because you can't be going and dropping him when he's scored 2 games back to back. That would just be nonsensical if you ask me. And one thing I'd like to say about Butland's save, though, I said it in the chat on the pod last night, the difference in him saving that and it going in could be monumental in the course of our season. His Hearts drop points, us winning. I know we're still a bit behind them, but that does slightly apply slightly and a small amount of pressure, as far as I'm concerned. It will. Genuinely, I believe that. And also, CB Celtic, I guess, with they were, they get 3 points, we get 3 points, so we're still, one game at a time. So I do think that could be a monumental save potentially for the course of our season. I'm not saying we're going to win the league or anything by any stretch of imagination, but that could be as big a save as any goalkeepers had in recent times.
Yeah, saves like that can always just change everything, can't it, in a season? We've seen it before. I know years gone by, there's McGregor made a good couple of saves, particularly the penalty save, remember, against Samras. That just totally changed the tide of that season. For us, the momentum just swung in a big way. I know we're going back, and it's good to reminisce sometimes, even though it's as far back as it was. Folks, get your questions in, because this is a Q&A, so get your questions in the chat, and I'll put them up and put them to the two guys here. Richard, then, as Dino says, it'd be sort of a bit ludicrous to drop Danilo going into Sunday's game then, because he's on a good, real rich vein of form. He's scoring headers, he's scoring goals from outside the box. He's got the Midas touch at the moment. You're obviously going to start on Sunday, aren't you?
Definitely, but I got to admit though, I might be tempted to drop him for his dad, because Danilo was absolutely burst after 45 minutes, where his dad was bouncing the entire game. Do you know what I mean? So he could maybe do as a turn, but no, in all seriousness, he deserves it. Out of the three of them, he definitely deserves it. And if he was going again, I would start Chermiti over Miovski. And I don't want to bash Miovski, but I've genuinely not seen a great deal from him. It's like my very first podcast in pre-season. I was on with Dino and we were speaking about Miovski, and as much as he was brilliant for Aberdeen, but I still stick by it. It's a different kettle of fish playing for Rangers, the old firm. You don't get time. You know, you're hounded in the box. You've got to have those snapshots, particularly what Danilo done yesterday. He had it at Aberdeen. You know, he had multiple chances. Here you don't. And to be honest, I'm not writing him off by any way. But what I'm saying is, cut a long story short, I'd rather start Chermiti or Danilo right now ahead of Miovski at the minute. So, yeah, definitely, Danilo definitely stays in the team for me.
Yeah, I would say I'd agree with you because Trimity did okay last night. There's some nice touches and he's sort of growing into the shirt. I think it's not an easy place to come at the best of times, but when you come with that price tag, which is no fault of his own, you know the fans are obviously expecting you to hit the ground running or to show a touch of class. But he's a young guy as well, so I think that'll just come over playing games and getting familiar with it and just getting up to speed. And obviously the goal against Kilmarnock will do him no harm. Dino, obvious question now is Barnes out a Sunday. So who are you putting in his place? Are you going Raskin, Diamande, Rothwell, Cameron if he's available?
I'd be having Lyle Cameron in there, either in place of Dio or Rothwell, actually. But probably, I think he's probably going to go with a double pivot. So who's more lightweight out of Rothwell and Dio at the moment? That's the question.
Can I, sorry to interrupt, can I
Aye.
answer your question? But it also, one of the comments was about it as well. Not that I necessarily agree with it, but last time Bajrami played McGregor out of the game.
Yep.
So he's got to be up for consideration.
And that's something that I've given thought, but with him having hardly any minutes of late, I just think, is he going to be able to come in and get a tune out of him without really having any game time and things like that? I'm not saying that that's not going to be the case, but just that obviously it's a semi-final and you know, it's a big game. I just don't know if it's the game that you would bring him in. But stranger things have happened. I'm not a professional football coach, but I just think in terms of the magnitude of the game and also him having hardly any minutes. I mean, when was the last time he played 90 minutes? When was the last time he even played 45? You know, so it could spring a few surprises on Sunday. That's for sure. But I think you've got to play Cameron just because the legs, and we're going to need that, and we're going to miss what Barron brought to us last night, because I really feel that's what we've been missing for a long time. And I don't know, is Rothwell fit enough? But then Diamande, he's not physical enough, so it's a tough one. And obviously Raskin's going to start. That's probably one of the first teams on the team sheet, isn't it? So I mean Bajrami can come in, Asgard obviously can come in. And I mean, again, can Asgard do what McGregor did, and do what Bajrami did on McGregor and sit on him? You know, so there is a lot of options.
Richard, is Raskin the first name on the team sheet? You know, is he guaranteed? Because I understand where we're coming from here, but he's not been great.
He hasn't. But tell me a player that has. You know. Yeah, there's nobody you could say is a standout. Your starter straight away, as you have to say, one, he's our best player. Two, he's a guy in form. I don't think anybody's reached that level yet. What Raskin's got is the fact that he probably is our best player and has the ability to just turn up and turn it on when he wants to. So for me, he does start. And going back to what we were just talking about who comes in for Barron, for me, it has to be Cameron. And I think I'm getting the sense that he sort of realises that we need, I don't want to say a Scottish identity, but he needs somebody that understands the tenacity that's required, somebody that's going to come in and know what's required for this type of game. Like Bajrami can come in and, let's say, do a job, but he didn't really stand out in the game other than just doing what he did with McGregor for me. Whereas I think Cameron can come in and just be all over the midfield, protecting the defence, not particularly doing a job on McGregor. But that for me is why we need it's going to be Cameron. And going back to what Ryan's saying about Jack Butland, yeah, Jack Butland probably has been a standout, but he's not been anywhere near the level he was when he first came in. But you're still going to put him in ahead of Liam Kelly, and he deserves so after the game against Hibs, to be fair.
Yeah, but I do think a key part of putting somebody on McGregor on Sunday is it does disrupt them a lot, and you've seen it. You've seen it. We've done it, and our teams have done it against them, and it does seem to work, and it does disrupt them, and I think that's key to beating them. Is sticking and I say, as Dino says, you never know, you might do this. Could be something that Rowe just pulls clean out the bag and nobody expects it, because obviously he's not been near the team in any other capacity, really, has he? I can't. He probably has come on as a sub, but I can't say off the top of my head I remember him, or he's had any length of time if it's not been a couple of minutes here or there. There's another question here I've got for you. Doug's asking then, if we beat Celtic with Dundee, Livingston, Falkirk to come in the league, how big a period is this for Roll to continue turning the ship around?
Great question there, Doug. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not looking as far as Falkirk, Livingston, Celtic, and then Dundee. See where we are after Dundee, just one game at a time. I'm sorry to say, but that's where I'm at. If that does come to fruition and we beat all of them, then it could be a massive catalyst to the outcome of our season. But yeah, I'm just looking at one game at a time. Do you know, it's quite funny because we're now in a position where, like 10 years ago, I'm not comparing it for like the outcome of the season, just the way that the mentality was at Leicester. It was 10 years ago that they won the Premier League, and the mindset in that all throughout the season was one game at a time. Like, do you know, Ranieri could probably have been calling the league at the end of November, beginning December, because everybody was starting to, I think they can win the league here. And it's like one game at a time, even when it was getting to like the business end of the season and stuff, one game at a time. And that's my mindset, is just one game at a time. And I know it's an old cliche, but I didn't want to look ahead of the next game and stuff. And yeah, we beat Celtic, we can definitely carry the momentum onto the next game, and so on and so forth.
Can I also answer that as well, Jock, if you don't mind? You know what I mean? Nice of Doug to put in a question as long as his answers, to be fair. But it doesn't matter. It genuinely doesn't matter. If we win all 4 of those games, right, it has no bearing at all. Look at what happened when Clement came in. He won, I think, 14 of his first 16. Then we messed it up against Ross County and Dundee, and we were nowhere. Michael Beale won 18 of his first 20. Still didn't win anything. The object is we need to win every game. That's it. The only time we can slip up is when we've got more points on the board that we're not going to be caught. So the object is, it is game by game, especially right now because we have been so poor. So it's just a case of building that momentum. But as we build that momentum, you still win the next game. So even if we win those 4 games, Roll will be cut a bit of slack, but that bit of slack will cut 2 games, because we lose another 2 games, then the pressure will be on them. So it doesn't make any difference up until where we are at the end of the season.
Yeah, I agree. Then going into Sunday, then what's the midfield and what are you thinking? How are you feeling?
Well, I'll be honest with you, even though we've kind of, gotten the better of them of late. I've never been confident going into an Old Firm game for a while, and not that I'm confident, but I just feel that with them being poor this season as well, and obviously their manager resigning, they're in a bit of turmoil at the moment, and there's a lot of angst towards their club, and unnecessary and unneeded pressure from the stands for them at the moment. So yeah, I think they will be as up for it as we are. And I know that sounds stupid, but I just mean I think it could potentially be a really good game on Sunday. I think it will be an improvement on the last one. New manager bounds, and having Martin O'Neill as managers, he hates us. Do you know what I mean? So he's going to be getting them well riled up and well up for it. So I think it will be a game of sort of, missed chances and things. That I think will be quite a close game, but one I think that we will come out on top of.
Good positivity, Dino. I like it. Richard, just a question here. It's come in. What's the rest of the season look like for Rabbi Matondo, the sort of forgotten man, really, isn't it?
Who?
Man.
How does the rest of the season look for him? Well, the rest of the season looks like he'll probably be in the stands for the rest of his time and hopefully moved on in January. Probably unlikely, and he'll stay till the summer. But I don't see him getting any game time. I don't think he deserves any game time, to be honest with you, unless we have a catastrophic, failure on the wings, and he's somehow been thrown a game to see what he can do. But he's just not been able to cut the mustard. So genuinely, I think that he's probably just going to been thrown on the bench a couple of times, maybe given a couple of minutes when we've got the game in the bag, see if he can do anything. But I think his time's up at the club, unfortunately. We'll always remember him for that goal against Celtic, though, to be fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Dino and Doug, our question here. I know Dusan Sterling's back in training, and I think he's probably available. He obviously have some minutes. Would you put him back in now, or would you give him minutes? Hopefully everything's going well, and we can afford to bring him on.
I don't think he should be in contention for starting or any minutes at all on Sunday. Too big a game after being out for a year or whatever it is. But however, I think it would be safe to say that every Rangers fan knows what he can bring to the squad, so he will definitely have a part to play, given he's a utility player and he can play in a number of positions. I'm pretty sure by going on the short experience I've got as Danny Rule as a manager and what I've read about him in previous roles, he will be able to utilise Sterling to his strengths and hopefully keep some injury free. But given that we are looking to probably play different formations, as somebody like that, and that you've got to pick for, you've got a lot of you've got a lot of reasons to play him. That's for sure, and he'll be dying to get back in, absolutely dying to get back in, and it's just a pity that his recovery's not been sooner. And I'd love to have seen him play on Sunday, but I think the sort of right wing back position is up for grabs, given I think Max Aarons isn't looking particularly good, albeit he did actually look better than he has done this season last night. But again, is that maybe because he's got a right centre back behind him to help him defensively? And then he went over on the left, and he was absolutely horrific that night against Bruges. But last night he actually was decent, all right, at left wing back. So, and Dav doesn't have the legs for right wing back anymore. So Sterling has definitely got scope to come back into the squad. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that versatility that we're chatting about is needed. And he obviously touched on it in his press conference that he likes that players with that ability that can play a couple of positions and they don't look too out of place. Can only help the team. Richard, we know that there's obviously a search going on for a well, I say a Scottish based or somebody who's affiliated with the club that's at a coaching role that can fit in with his style. He talked about it in depth, so he did in his press conference about they don't just want somebody in for the sake of having somebody in. They want somebody that can buy into what he wants to try and sell and try and get across to the players. So they're actually, they've got a job and a role to play. Is there anybody in particular you'd want in?
I think for me, I think there's three that stand out for me: Neil McCann, Kevin Thompson, and Steve Davis, for different reasons. But I think the key point about it is, and I hope that Danny Rose asked about it, one of the things that's came out is that Alex Rae was not really given much influence in under Clement. He was there to, talk to the players. Obviously, he had his coaching part and tell them how much it means. But did he really influence Clement? It's came out apparently no, he didn't. So it's probably not going to be revealed. I don't think Danny Rose is going to come out and answer a question like that. But you would hope that whoever he brings in, they would have some sort of influence.
Yeah.
And who that is, I think Steve Davis or particularly Neil McCann would probably have a better influence for me than Steve Davis, than Kevin Thompson, sorry. That's literally just because of their background, the way they come across, in my opinion. But, to answer that question, Mo Ross talks very well.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't have the same sort of stature in his career profile as the others do. But that shouldn't. We don't know how much of that is going to be taken into account. But though, Mo Ross as well, I'd be happy with. My top of the pops for me is going to be Neil McCann, just because I like the way that he talks about the game, the way in which he brings it across and can articulate it. And obviously he knows the club, knows what it's about and knows the demands. So for me, he would be my pick, but I can understand the argument for all the others.
Dino, you are the new Scottish coach that Danny Rose has employed. What's the first thing you tell or teach him?
Question.
Try and keep it PC.
I'll do my best. First thing you teach and you tell them that you've got to sign players who know the league. That'd be one of the first things I would say, because we don't have enough of that. We don't have enough of a Scottish contingent in the club.
Sorry, I had to.
I would definitely say something like that. But I think like what Richard said there is quite very, very good point. It's basically when you're going to be interviewing, it's going to be an interview for both sides, I think, isn't it? Like what they want from a coach, but what the coach wants from him. Like they've got to be able to work together, but also I think the coach has got to come in and be able to challenge him and be comfortable challenging him and not let egos get in the way and be respectful to one another, to listen to one another. Like as what you'd said about Neil McCann there, he talks great, and what I heard about Neil McCann when he was at Dundee, he can be quite fiery, so is that going to be somebody that's going to be needed in the changing room? But depends if that dynamic fits with other personalities in the coaching staff as well. So there's loads of mitigating factors. Like people have said, Steve Davis might be a bit too quiet to go in, but then we don't know what the other coaches are like. Like, so would you need two coaches that are going to be, shouting or just louder personalities? Would that work? You maybe need one that is maybe a bit more like quiet and then one that is a bit more like maybe Neil McCann or Kevin Thompson or whatever. So it's all contingent on what Danny Rule needs and wants, and obviously what the other coach as well, because that setup might not be appropriate for Kevin Thompson, for example, at this stage of his career. So yeah, real interesting to see how that when that comes to fruition. But I kind of thought he would have done by now, to be fair, because that's been one of the things he's been looking at since he came in, and I know he's been in, what, 9 days now, so something like that, isn't it? So I thought maybe there would have been an announcement before now, so I can't imagine it's too much further down the line.
Can I, sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah.
can I comment on what Dino said? Not that I completely disagree, but if the role of the Scottish or the club coach or assistant is to instill what Rangers is all about and what Scottish football is all about, what you were saying about Steve Davis, about him being quiet, can you if it was you trying to instill to a player what that fixture means to someone, would you do it in a quiet way? Do you know what I mean? If you're trying to instill what we're about as a club, what Scottish football, our style, and what the passion of the fans is about this game, Steve Davis, for me, his quiet persona, I don't really think that would get across the passion behind it, and I'm probably doing him a massive disservice, and I'll probably get slaughtered for it. But for me, he doesn't come across as that sort of character to do it. I'd be looking more for a more, you know, I know it depends on how you get your message across, and it definitely depends on the type of player and the type of character you're getting it across to, or whether or not they'll take it in. You know, because screaming and shouting at someone being passionate, that might make them go into themselves. So
yeah,
it's different to every player. And I guess it's probably because of who I am and the type of person I am. Sorry, Nicky. Right? That I would want somebody passionate, because I see Danny Rule is not being quite as fiery. So I'd want somebody that's going to get them up for it. They can go into there and sort of galvanise them as much as what I think Alex Rae probably would have done, the way I think, you know, a Neil McCann could do, probably Kevin Thompson as well. Stephen Davis, I don't see him. I see him as more of a calming, quiet influence that was a brilliant club captain and player that set the standards and probably told the players more quietly where they needed to perform and what they need to do better, and led by example. When he can only do it for, you know, a few minutes in the changing room, that's why I was leaning more towards other coaches rather than Steve Davis for me.
Yeah, it's I can understand why it probably is taking a bit long, because he obviously wants to get the right person for the job, and you'll sit and I'm sure you'll go through a thorough process and probably be asking certain questions, and probably be trying to, you know, dig deep into the people he's asking these questions to try and get to the bottom of it and see if it is going to work, if it's a fit for him, because at the end of the day, they're going to answer to him with the way they're deploying things and the way they're, you know, putting things across to the players, and it just has to work, and they'll have to have that sort of working relationship, which obviously it's going to be somebody he's not worked with before, so that'll have to be built up over time as well. So that's going to be interesting to see. Folks, we're well over the hour now, so I'll have to wrap it up. So thanks everybody in the comments for joining and watching, and keeping the chat alive and giving us your questions. Really appreciate it. Good to get chatting to you guys. I'm just going to put a link in the comments for everybody. This is a competition that we're running. If you head over to our Rangers Twitter page, we have a lovely new away strip, or sorry, the third kit is up for grabs. You just need to do a quick screen grab of you sharing that you're sharing the page to your contacts and get it screenshot and sent in to us, and we will be picking a winner very soon for that. I'll also give a shout out to our sponsors over in Puerto del Carmen, Lanzarote, the Bluebell pub. If you're on holiday over there anytime now, and Doug kindly reminds me it's the fourth kit, not the third kit. We have 4 kits. How could I forget? Bluebell's pub in Lanzarote. Give it a shout when you're over there, chaps. Thanks very much for joining again. I can't thank you enough. It's been the hours absolutely flew in as usual. If you haven't already done, please like and subscribe on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Hit the like button, and hope everybody enjoys Sunday. Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Dino, for joining us. It's a pleasure as always. And just remember, folks, every night's a Rangers Journal night.